Hey, my Wolfpack Charlie Black 20 back with another video, and today we are doing the movie review of Homeward Bound 2 Lost in San Francisco. I know it's a long time coming, but I recently had a chance to rewatch it, and so I'm going to give a review of what happens in the movie and basically give my thoughts on it by the end. I will try to be as concise as possible. So, most of the original cast has returned. Unfortunately, we lost the original voice actor for Shadow, so we have a new one. I will put the names in the description. Uh, we start out with Michael J. Fox as Chance, the American Bulldog, coming out of their house that they've been in for a couple years, ever since their adventures over the mountains, where Chance is destroying one of Jamie's shoes. And basically, he's starting to get a little bored at home, wanting to explore a little more, go outside more, wanting to hang out with Jamie. But Jamie, he's in this new baseball little league, and he's really into baseball, and that's really all his focus is on. He's becoming a little bit of a brat, not only towards his parents about baseball, but also Chance. And Chance and Chance, he is, although he's enjoying family life, he is kind of bored, and so he messes with Sassy when he can. Uh, Sassy, as he's coming inside to try and spend time with Jamie, Sassy points out that there are suitcases all over the house, which means that there's going to be a trip, which means that the family's leaving them. And Chance is like, yeah, right, come on. And unfortunately, Sassy tries going up the stairs, and Chance is like, really? There's going to be a trip? And the father is carrying a whole bunch of folded clothes, and he trips over Sassy on the stairs. All the clothes go flying over, and a bunch of underwear goes over Chance's head. And Sassy has all of her jokes throughout the whole movie, like, oh, do you prefer boxers or briefs? Um, but Jamie finds his uniform, his baseball glove, has a tug of war with Chance over the ball, and then he heads out to the baseball field, telling Chance to stay. And Sassy is in one of those metal tunnels or plastic tunnels that kids would play with, and now we use for dogs and stuff. And she's telling Chance, oh, he's going to send you to the bad place. And Chance, in response, uses his weight to spin the pipe with Sassy in it. And she goes spinning and hits the porch. And she's like, coming out all dizzy, like, oh, I'm going to be sick. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill him. But Chance goes to the baseball field and interrupts the game, basically. All these other dogs are well behaved. They're actually umpiring the game, or commentating on the game. And he interrupts the game by stealing the ball when it's in the field, taking away one of the other kid's gloves when she pushes Jamie. And that makes Jamie really mad that Chance has ruined his baseball game. And made him look bad, too. In his mind, anyway. So when they get home, Jamie is very upset, very angry at Chance, while they're getting ready to go on this vacation to Canada. But guess what? Their pets are coming with them. Yay! And then Chance tells Sassy, hey, we're not going anyplace bad. They didn't give us those tranquilizers. And then we hear, hey, did anybody forget the tranquilizers? Uh-oh. And Chance ends up throwing up his in the car. Yuck. And they get to the airport, where Chance is continually pleading with the father. No, don't do this to me. Don't put me in the cage. Don't put me in here. Come on. Don't I get a lawyer? Come on. Shadow's telling him, hey, calm down. Let it go. Sassy continues saying stuff like, oh, you're going to go to the bad place. Oh, this is what you get. This isn't first class for me, honey. And Jamie's like, see you later. And Chance is like, no, don't do this to me. And as they're being pulled on one of these airport I don't know what they're called, but I would think of them as like trolleys, little wagon platforms. And Chance keeps shaking in his cage, and eventually, when they get past a certain point, when they reach a certain point, he manages to break out of the cage by the cage literally breaking when it smashes up against another airport car. So he gets out completely unharmed, and Shadow's like, ugh, guess we gotta go get him. All these people in uniform, he thinks he's going to go to the bad place. We have to get out and go after him. So Sassy, with her cat skills, gets out of her cage very easily, opens up Shadow's cage, and they go after Chance, who proceeds to run the opposite way of all the luggage going down the chutes, and he goes the opposite way going through them, trying to get back into the airport. Where they do, they don't find the family, and Shadow's like, this is what you get us into, we need to go back. They proceed to go through the airport again. They figure out which plane the family's on by Shadow's intuition. They lay down in front of where the plane is going to take off from, the road, and they're waiting for it to stop, and it flies over them. And that's when all these airport employees on the ground are like, we need to catch these animals, they're loose. And they are driving after them, trying to catch them. The animals run towards the fence. Shadow digs a hole. Sassy climbs over the fence. And they go under right before they get caught. So, they are now in the city of San Francisco. Hence, Lost in San Francisco. And they spend the night in a cardboard box where Chance manages to find his dinner in the garbage. And he is kind of at home on the streets. He's been on the streets before. He's not afraid of it like others, in the same way that Sassy and Shadow are. And the next morning they go looking for food and trying to figure out their way around, trying to find the Golden Bridge, which they know that if they can find the bridge, Shadow's confident he can get them home. Along the way, Sassy tries to get food from this little boy at his house because he's petting a little kitten. And Chance ruins that by running up the steps of the front porch and standing around him. And the boy appears to be afraid of dogs. And his mom comes out and shoos them away, so no food for them from that boy. I believe his name was Tucker. And Shadow, Chance, Sassy are going through the alleyways, and they bump into these two other dogs, a boxer named Ashcan and a mastiff named Pete, who are obviously, Ashcan's obviously street dog, Pete, he's the dumb one, and they see Sassy, and they're like, lunchtime. And Shadow warns Ashcan away, don't touch her. Sassy climbs up onto this plant shelf where there's a geranium pot with a flower in it, and Ashcan and Shadow get into a fight. While Chance says to Pete, you know you got something long and furry growing out of your butt? And then he proceeds to bite his tail, and Pete's like, that hurts. And Shadow appears to be losing the fight when all of a sudden all these other dogs run in. Chance, as a distraction, runs away to bring the pack after him, but they ignore him completely. He just runs through them, and they ignore him. The lead dog, a brown dog named Riley, rushes in and plows into Ashcan, getting him off of Shadow, and starts fighting him, telling him, I told you to stay off our turf. And Pete is being run around in circles by this little dog who is taunting him, and he ends up standing right beneath Sassy with the pot, where she proceeds to knock it off the shelf onto his head. That's when Pete and Ashcan skedaddle. And this new dog Riley, he has a very low opinion of Shadow and Sassy, saying, you guys are pets, you shouldn't be here. What are you doing? And they're like, hey, we didn't come here on a purpose. We're trying to find our way home. Oh, by the way, did you happen to see which way our friend went? And two of the dogs tell him, we saw him run that way. And he's like, Riley's like, hey, Delilah here, who is a white dog, she looks like a poodle Labrador in a way, like very fluffy but Labrador looking. She's the fastest runner they got. She knows the city better than any of them. Riley says if anybody can find him, it's her. And she goes after him. And Shadow and Sassy stick with Riley's gang for a little while because they're hoping they find Chance along the way. In the meantime, Chance is running as fast as he can. He thinks he's still being a decoy. He tries to escape Delilah as she's catching up to him because she is fast. And finally, he just lays down and he's waiting to be destroyed. And she ends up just licking him in the face. And he's like, what the heck? And they proceed to spend the day together, talking, hanging out. A date. Where Chance is trying to be kind of a little suave, but he's also just being himself. He's explaining how Jamie, his human, was mad at him, but he doesn't mind because he was used to the streets. Like, as long as he doesn't go to the bad place, he's fine. And he learns that Delilah has been astray her whole life. He learns about Riley's story, which is that Riley started this pack after he had been abandoned as a puppy. You see, he had been a Christmas present for a little boy, and the boy didn't want the puppy. It's a horribly sad scene where he's put in a brown box out on the road in the rain. Heartbreaking. That's what happened to him as a puppy. And so Riley doesn't trust humans. He doesn't believe that humans are any good. And he has extra reason to fear because as the pack is traveling through the city, they are forced to take cover and hide because this thing called the blood red van drives around. And we've seen these guys, Jack and Ralph. Jack is the fat, mean guy. Ralph is the skinnier, stupid guy. He drives the truck. And Jack had tried to take this poodle who had a leash around a hydrant when he saw her owner go in the house. They pick up any dogs they can find and they take them to a place that Riley says is called the lab, where dogs get taken off the street and taken there, and they don't come back out. And after they successfully hide from the blood red van, Shadow and Sassy head out by themselves because Riley's not going to bring them to the gate, to the Golden Gate, and they still need to find Chance, so they continue to go around the city trying to find him. In the meantime, Chance and Delilah continue their date on the dock, where he's talking about how all these humans around here, you can find a buffet of food. You can find food everywhere. And at one point, he's going to take some food from a little boy who's in a stroller, and she's like, "Hey, he's a pup. You can't take it from him." And he's like, "It's your lucky day, kid." And then they see a bunch of seals on the dock, and Chance says, "I've heard of this before, Delilah. This is what happens when you spend too much time in the water. You lose all your fur, and you look like that. So this is why you should always put up a fight when they try to give you a bath." And they head to the park, which is Delilah's favorite place, where when it starts to rain, Chance steals a Frisbee and holds it over her head as an umbrella. And she takes him to where Riley's pack hangs out by themselves. In the meantime, there's a close encounter, or a just missed encounter, between Pete and Ashcan, who have their little vacant lot that they hang out in, where Ashcan steals a bone from Pete, and they're going to jump Shadow and Sassy when they see them passing by, but they miss their chance because Pete's an idiot and Ashcan is too impatient. But when they do, Shadow and Sassy come up upon the house where the little boy lives with the cat and his parents. And what isn't known to the firefighters that are there is that Jack, who has been smoking cigars and throws them away all the time, never caring where they go, he had tossed a cigar into the grass near the house. Fire. And the entire house is ablaze. The parents are out. The boy is not. And when Shadow sees this, he's like, I'm going in. He doesn't know that Riley and his pack are in the background watching behind a fence. And Riley and his pack are amazed at what he's doing. They're like, is he insane for a human? Sassy soon follows to help Shadow because that's what she does. Shadow finds Tucker, the little boy, and manages to get him to the front porch and out. 5 seconds after he does that, maybe 10 seconds at most, flames explode out of the front porch door, and then the porch itself collapses. So they were seconds away from pure death. And then Sassy manages to come out with the little kitten named Tiger. And although the humans thank thank Shadow and Sassy, they realize that they're going home because they just walk away. And Riley's like, you know what? You guys are pretty good, but do you really think a human would have done that for you? Shadow says, my boy Peter would have, without a doubt. And so Riley says, you know what? You can hang with us for a few days at our place while we look for your friend. We'll make an exception for pets this time. And when they get there, Shadow and Sassy are arguing about whether they should go to the Golden Gate without Chance. And Shadow's like, absolutely not, we can't. And Sassy's like, dang it, we were almost free of him. When they get inside, they find that Delilah and Chance are laying together. And everybody's like, ew, they were kissing and stuff, weren't they? And Riley is understandably upset because he still has a low opinion of pets. And he thinks that Delilah is, quote unquote, getting in with the wrong crowd. Think of it like classism in reverse, where you think somebody is too good for you and you can't be with them. That's what Riley's doing at this moment. Delilah doesn't care. Chance is indifferent. And so they spend the next day there. And Shadow comes out to Delilah the next day and says, hey, listen, Chance, he's a good guy, but you need to let him go. He can't survive out on the streets. He might have been on the streets before, but he's become a pet, and he doesn't take it seriously. It's all a big game to him. And Delilah's like, listen, I can look out for him. I will keep care of him. Shadow's like, well, I hope you can. And Chance is playing with this big tire, and then he goes into this big pile of garbage trying to find food. And the blood-red van pulls around, and all the dogs hide, except Chance. He hears them eventually pulling up right behind him, the two guys. Ralph has the control stick, the loop pole. I'm sorry. Where Jack distracts Chance with a cheeseburger, pretending to offer it to him, and Ralph gets the loop around Chance's neck. They put him in the back of the truck with all these other dogs, and they start to leave, where Jack breathes all this smoke into Chance's face and says, you're going to the lab, my friend. They're going to light you up like a Christmas tree. The van pulls around this warehouse that they've been staying at, and they find the pack of dogs standing in front of them, blocking their path. And Jack turns to Ralph. He's like, they're turning against us. Just run them down. And Ralph's like, that's $100 worth of dog right there. And Jack's like, run them down, run them down. And they proceed to get into a scuffle in the car, trying to press the gas, hit the brake, press the gas, hit the brake. And it's not until they get within inches of the pack that Ralph finally gets his foot on the brake. But in the process, they hit Delilah's paw. And this one hound dog, Banjo, who has been jealous of Chance this whole time, he takes it personally, jumps into the truck, and starts biting at the pants of Jack. And that forces them out of their truck, while Sassy goes to the back of it to open the back car where it has a lever that she can pull down. But she won't pull it down until Chance says the phrase, cats rule and dogs drool. And she forces him to say it in front of all these other dogs before she finally lets them out. In the meantime, the dogs have all been showing their teeth and growling at these guys until they finally make a run for it. But Riley and another dog, Sledge, chase them down, start biting at their pants. And finally they let them go when the other dogs get out of the truck. These two just run around. They try to climb this fence, but it's covered in barbs at the top, and they just hang on to it for dear life as these dogs they've captured chase after them. Very similar to the ending of Beethoven, but these guys, they don't even get over the fence. They're just stuck there. Ha! Serves them right. But at this point, Delilah, quote-unquote, rejects Chance as he's trying to figure out what's going on with her and Banjo at this moment, because Banjo starts licking her face and stuff. And she tells Chance, you need to go home. You don't belong on the streets. I'm sorry, it's over. And Chance is obviously very hurt. He starts to turn away. Shadow's like, hey, wait a minute, Chance. And Chance does something unusual for the movie. He turns back to Shadow and says, listen, old timer, back off. I don't need you or her. I don't need anybody. And just walks away. By that night, the next morning, early morning, Riley and his group have been searching the city for him, and they can't find him. And Riley tells Shadow and Sassy, listen, if we're going to go for the bridge, it's got to be now. There's no other time. And so they reluctantly decide to leave, Shadow and Sassy. And when they get to where they can see the bridge, Riley says, this is as far as I go. You guys are all right for pets. And they start to leave, and Riley says, hey, house pet, to Shadow. Shadow turns around, and Riley says, I'll take into consideration what you said about the humans. Shadow says, Riley, you're all right. And so, at this construction site, Shadow and Sassy finally stop. And Shadow says, you know what? We really can't leave without Chance. We need to turn back. And Sassy's like, dang it, we were so close. But out of some of the piping, the big green piping, comes Pete and Ashcan. They want a rematch, and they want Sassy. And Shadow again confronts Ashcan. They get into a fight. Sassy actually scratches at Pete's backside with her claws. But she's stuck. She can't run away with Pete in front of her. And the fight comes to a standstill for a moment. It's a standoff. And then rushing through the gate between Shadow and Ashcan and jumping over Pete is Chance. And he turns around and he says, hiya, Stinky. Long time no see. And Pete's like, Stinky? And then Ashcan's like, get him. And they chase him through this construction yard, where Chance does the old seesaw trick, where Pete ends up getting hit in the face by the board. He runs up what he calls the Stairmaster, where they go up these 2 flights of stairs, and Ashcan and Pete are, especially Pete, is exhausted, because I need more water, we need more exercise. Oh. And then there's more of this green piping that, at the end of it, Chance is, on the open end of it, Chance is, and Ashcan and Pete go into the pipe to go after him. Chance goes around to the middle of it and says, hey, what has 8 legs, no brains, spins around and screams like a girl? And Pete's like, I don't know, what? And Chance nudges it down. It goes down this flight of boards, and he says, you guys! And they start screaming, whoa, whoa, boom! And they're like, oh. We don't see them for the rest of the movie, but they are out for the count. And Chance is like, hey, and Sassy's like, you saved us? And what took you so long? And Chance is like, hey, I've been following you guys ever since you left Riley's. And so they get to the bridge, they cross it, and at this point, Shadow's like, you know what? I can definitely get us home from here. And so this whole time that they've been on this adventure, the family had landed in Canada, learned that the animals had escaped in San Francisco, and they fly back. I think they fly back, and then they get to their car, and they drive back to him. In the meantime, Jamie has been having second thoughts. He's been feeling guilty about what he said to Chance, and he's hoping that he's okay. And he asks, I believe his mom, do you think Chance will forgive me? And she's like, absolutely. No chance he won't. So they're coming. The family's coming down this road when it's raining, and there's this big truck in front of them. This big rig truck, and they can't go around it because it's a one-way street or a two-way street, like this. So they can't go around the truck. And Chance stops in the middle of this road while Sassy and Shadow are on a hill, and he starts reminiscing a little bit. He's saying goodbye to Delilah, saying he left his heart in San Francisco, and that it's not going to be the same without her. And even the mention of food from Sassy doesn't get him to budge. And then Shadow's like, Sassy, do you hear a truck? And she's like, no, Shadow, I see a truck. And around the corner comes this big rig. Chance is in the middle of the road. The trucker sees this. He slams on the brakes, but of course, it's wet ground, and it takes a minute to stop. And the family in the truck behind them, they hit the brakes. They spin around. They're all okay. They're all okay, but boy, what a scare for them. And the father's like, I'm going to find out what happened. But the kids and the mom see Sassy and Shadow coming down the hill. They rush out and they embrace them. Shadow, Sassy, you guys are okay, thank God. The father goes to the truck driver who says, I'm so sorry, is everybody all right? What happened? We're okay, what happened? And he's like, oh, there was a crazy dog in the middle of the road. I tried to stop, but these rigs just don't stop that fast. And you see the look on the father's face like, oh no, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Because he knows. He knows. So as Jamie's calling for Chance, he pulls him aside before he can get to the front of the truck. And he says, the trucker, the reason he hit his brakes so fast is because there was a dog in the middle of the road. And in that moment, you can see Jamie's face, and he's like, no, no, no. And he rushes over before they can stop him to the front of the truck. And then we hear a whine. And he looks underneath the truck. He looks underneath it. And there's Chance like this with his paws. And he's like, Chance! And Chance is like, Jamie? And he rushes out. He starts licking him all over. And you can hear them both saying, I love you, I love you, I love you. So the family's reunited. Their bygones be bygones. But they get back home. It looks like they're having a picnic in the backyard. But Jamie is going to head out and play some ball. And he wants Chance to come with him. But Chance won't move. He's just laying there and he won't move. And he asks, do you think he's sick, Dad? And Dad's like, he's just tired, son. Let's let him alone for now. And Sassy and Shadow are like, is he going to be okay? And Shadow's like, in time, he'll be okay. It's not something, a broken heart isn't something you recover from like that. And then Chance hears all this barking, and he thinks it's Delilah, and he gets up, but it's just a German Shepherd with his owner running. He's like, I'm just hearing things again. And then from around the corner comes Delilah. And he says, how did you find this place? How did you find me? And she says, I followed my nose and my heart. And they are reunited. For a moment, everything else is forgotten except the two of them between each other. Like, it's very cute. And Chance introduces Delilah to the family, telling her, don't worry about it, they're going to love you. How could they not? Just give Jamie a lick on the hand. He'll love it. And they realize that Chance found a girlfriend, but the dad is wary about letting in another dog. He's like, do we really need another dog? But obviously, it's going to happen. And when he says, yes, we can keep her, Chance literally jumps up in the air twice, just completely off the ground, up. And then he says, I've never been happier in my life. And then he says, wait, I smell pizza, pizza, pizza. And the pizza guy comes around holding the pizza like this in his hands. And he keeps dodging Chance as Chance is bouncing around. And then he eventually lets go of the box. The pizza goes flying out, lands on the ground. And Chance is like, hey guys, come have a bite. And of course, that is the end of Homeward Bound 2, Lost in San Francisco. It was a good movie. It's a solid sequel. I have found that most movies from the 70s to the 90s, most movies that have one sequel usually have a solid sequel. It's not better than the first, but it's solid enough with the storyline and the characters. So, I think this was a good review of the movie itself. Now I'm going to cover what was going on, basically. So, what I really liked was how this time it was all about Chance being afraid that Jamie was mad at him. I liked that. I love that Sassy is still her sassy self. All these one-liners she has at the dogs, at the situation, at everything around her. How she's still this prissy cat, even though she's quite capable of taking care of herself. The blood red van, I liked that addition because it showed a component of bad faith humans that you didn't get in the previous movie. Humans at that time were misunderstood or good. They weren't bad. In this case, you do have a couple of bad guys who see the dogs as something to be used to get money and to mistreat. So the fact that you had these dogs standing up against that to help their own was good. I liked that. Even those two humans had a difference with each other about dogs and what they could use them for. I like that Chance got himself a girlfriend. They had very good conversations. Like, it wasn't over the top Chance being this macho or street dog or anything like that. It was him being himself, and it felt right. The story of Riley, how he is the way he is, and how he got this pack of dogs to follow him, I liked. Pete and Ashcan were funny, as well as not threatening, but certainly an obstacle to be overcome. And then how Chance reacted to Delilah's rejection. That was tough. That was hard to see because it showed just how upset Chance was and how it affected him in very subtle ways and very obvious ways. But that even through all that, he didn't abandon his family, Shadow, Sassy, Jamie. He didn't abandon them. He stuck with them in the end, even though he was hurt by Delilah in that moment. He didn't abandon everything that he loved. And then Riley coming to terms with the fact that maybe not all humans are bad, and that maybe Shadow has a point, that I need to take the humans one at a time. The scene that always gets me is saving the boy from the fire. I don't know why. Maybe it's just nostalgia. Maybe it's seeing animals doing bravery. But seeing this moment of such selflessness from a dog who has no loyalty to this little boy other than the fact that he's a boy and dogs help humans. I did love that. And it always gets me how close it was to just boom. But I did like that scene. And that when the scene of the truck, that's always hard. That's always like, whoa, oh, that was a moment. Ooh, thank God. No matter what, it always gets me. Don't know why, but it does. And it's hilarious and heartwarming, the ending. Very heartwarming. I really love that. And yeah, I love the actors for this. Although they had to replace Shadow's voice actor, I think they did a good job with finding somebody who could show the right cadence and the right amount of personality. I think one thing that was interesting, that was good, was that Shadow kept referring to his age in this movie rather than before, where he tried to ignore it. In this one, he's like, no, I'm an old man. I don't need to be going through this. Michael J. Fox does an excellent job as Chance, as usual. And Sally Fields really nails Sassy once again. The family, they're all the same. And their roles are even smaller than they were before. The only thing they show is that Jamie, his focus on the movie was about how mad he was at Chance. And he's getting tired of him because he's being a nuisance to him in his mind. But he comes to realize that he really does love Chance, despite it, because of everything he does. In spite of everything he does, he still loves him and he wants him to be safe. So I think this was a good, solid sequel. If the original movie is an A, I give this one a B. So it's still very good. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, or at least found it informative. So till next time, take care, my wolf pack.